Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining in today. We are back on the Coxton sub for another route building video. And today we're over here on the west end of Coxton at the Louisville and Nashville yard. So, please remember that this part of the route is completely fictional, as are most parts, and there is not a Louisville and Nashville presence at the intersection or the confluence of the Arkansas and the Mississippi rivers. But hey, we're having some fun. This is Trainz, we can do what we want. So here, the Louisville and Nashville has a 4-track yard called Winfield Yard, named after one of my good friends who is a railroad artist. Definitely check out John Winfield art sometimes. I don't get a sponsorship for saying that. I just love his stuff so much that I wanted to mention it. So this yard is named after him, and you can see there's a bit of a Y back there that connects the Winfield Yard with the Santa Fe Hemp Hill Yard, as well as the Cotton Belt Nix Yard, which is the big yard over there in Coxton. So today we're going to work mostly on just kind of dressing up the track around the yard a bit. So you can see we've sunk the track into the ground. We're just kind of changing up some of the texture patterns under the track to make it look dirty. And since this is technically where we hold the locomotives as they come into town, or the 2 locomotives that stay here and work the industries, just kind of trying to figure out how best I want to make a little small area for just refilling those locomotives and whatnot. So you'll also see here I've turned some of the detail down. If you have a keen eye, you would have noticed that. I know things are moving a bit fast, but I temporarily turned the detail down just to see if that would help my performance out a bit. I am currently having a few performance issues, not huge, but it does cause at times a bit of a little drag. Sometimes as I try to move around, things lag behind a bit, and it's a bit annoying when I'm trying to build. It kind of causes hiccups and causes me to hesitate a bit, and I don't like it. But I'm trying to work on it. My computer is several years old and is starting to show a bit of age, plus the route is pretty big with a lot of detail. But I did decide to go ahead and go back to the high detail, because I realized that if I keep working on this with the details turned down, while the performance may be marginally better, it's not good enough to really make me feel good about it. Plus also it actually makes me see details differently from how they'll actually look, and I don't like that. So I decided I'd go ahead and just deal with the mediocre performance so that I could at least go ahead and see things in high detail and make sure that they look the way they're supposed to. So today we are working on Knight's Perishables, which is a large cold storage facility over here at the west side of Coxton. So this is where the reefer train that I've talked about in previous videos will terminate. It'll terminate in the 4-track yard. Since we only run about 3,000 foot long train, there's going to be plenty of space in that yard for you to terminate that train and still have about a track and a half left over for working any local freight. So there are 3 industries over here. I do have a video about the other 2 that will come out later. So we've got a scrap yard, Forney scrap, and then we've got a grain terminal over here as well. So those will both be in the same video, but that'll be a different one. So this one will just be us working on the cold storage here, Knight's Perishables. So the way I have more or less kind of made this up is that reefers come into Knight's Perishables. It's mostly just a storage facility, so you're going to get a lot of loaded reefers in and a lot of loaded reefers out. And for me, that works out just fine, so I'm happy with that. But here we're just kind of adding some of the vehicular details. So lots of refrigerated box cars. We've got, or not box cars, sorry, box trailers. We've got some non-refrigerated box trailers around here as well. We also have some bulk covered trailers for, shipping out those fresh veggies and fresh fruits and things off of people's farms. So we've worked on a shipping and receiving there for trucks on the backside, and now just kind of adding some details here to the platforms. I kind of envision this where everything on the platform is delivered by forklift with pallets. I would not call myself a industrial operations expert. I haven't necessarily gone in and toured different industries to see how they actually load or unload, box cars or reefers or anything like that. But, I do have a general idea that a little bit of platform clutter is necessary just to kind of help break up the monotony of a big long platform. So you can also see we've sunk the track here as well and made it look nice and dirty. Not really going to have any grass growing in that spot since there's probably reefers and stuff sitting here all the time. So this industry does, though, also receive a few different cooling materials in tank cars. I didn't bother with looking up exactly what goes into cooling down a cooling down a cold storage facility. So I'm just going to be honest with you and say I didn't exactly just go look this up and be like, oh yeah, it needs this chemical and that chemical. And honestly, I know that a lot of coolants probably are not dense enough to actually be carried in rail cars. I know that's a thing too. I know that like CO2, for example, dry ice gets shipped out a lot in pipelines from ethanol plants. So, you know, things like that. But hey, it's Trainz. We're going to use some creative licensing, and, you know, have some traffic coming in. So while the reefer train comes in and terminates here, there is a couple other Louisville and Nashville trains you can run. So there's a local that you can run that comes from staging specifically over here to this area. And it only brings in cars for the industries here on the west side of Coxton, and then for, you know, any rail cars that need to interchange with this, either the Santa Fe or the Cotton Belt. And then also you can run a couple of different manifest trains that come through here and then run across the route. Those trains, of course, the only yard that they work in their entire drive would be this yard here. So I did decide to leave 2 Jeep 35s here stationed as like your local switcher. And then any through trains, of course, will bring their own power. So that's kind of how I envision operations. Of course, when you get the route, you can change that up however you would like. And I'm sure a lot of you guys will have some wonderful ideas. Probably even ideas sometimes that'll be plenty good and far better than mine. But I am going to go ahead and add the Turfex now. So that's what you're mostly seeing there. And then now it's time to get the fences up. Pretty much all major industries have fences to delineate their borders, try to keep people out, and also to keep some of their junk in. I did decide to go over here to Moscow real quick and grab that chain link fence and work my way back. So basically kind of showing a bit of both, where we have some chain link fence. You can consider that to be kind of the new fence. And then we've got some of the older wood fence there, and you know, you can just envision that maybe they're in the process of replacing that. All right, now next up is to get the cars. So, you know, people have to come to work. So not only do we have trucks for shipping out freight and shipping in freight, but we've got to have some space for the workers to park their cars as well. So I decided, since the trucks need space to move around, that's not something that is very easy to do in a tight spot. So I figured I wouldn't make any formal large parking spaces, but rather just have the staff parking, you know, around the edge of the building there to give the truckers plenty of space to maneuver around. So with that being said, just kind of laying in some of these parking spots. And then after that, it will be time to add some details to the fence. I do envision that, you know, with a minimum of 2 Louisville and Nashville trains you can run, and, you know, the potential of a third one. You know, if you guys wanted to spend a decent amount of time here, you know, there are ways to do that. Plus, the Santa Fe and the Cotton Belt are both going to interchange with the Louisville and Nashville. So there are going to be plenty of trains coming in that will have cars destined for these industries here. So if you choose to check out the routing system that I've created, that will be separate, of course, because I don't really use any routing system built in the trains. You know, then you can get some big details on how exactly those cars move to and from these industries. But here I am just kind of adding some more Turfex, getting the tall grass in there, and then now it's time for all the fence line details. So I just feel like when I look at industries in areas that are reasonably dense, I just feel like there's always a lot of overgrowth around the edges of their fence, sometimes both on the inside and the outside. And then I've noticed a lot of times too that trees in these areas don't usually stand alone. They typically have bushes at the base of their trunks as well. So final details there. We'll take some cinematics and then I will sign us out. But thanks again for joining, guys. Stay tuned for more. We've got some more build videos and operational videos coming out soon. As always, I appreciate it very much, and we will see you guys next time.